intellectual mobility of those who crafted and put together this legislative agenda. Having perused this document, I will christen it a working document for this 9th Senate, and my singular prayer is that may the 9th Senate operate with the sincerity of purpose, of heart, and commitment, so that Nigerians may become the beneficiary of the final copy of the legislative agenda. Mr. President, my colleagues, when you look at the motto of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first word you have there is unity. The motto is unity, faith, peace, and progress. We cannot have an agenda, we cannot move as a people except we are united. That's why the Holy Book said, two cannot work together except they agree. Mr. President, this agenda must chorus and chronicle very seriously the issue of the unity of this country. Without unity, it will become very, very impossible for people to sit together and have a progressive discussion. Today, Mr. President, by our practice and conventions, we have been so divided as a people, and we have become too ethnic conscious that our legislative agenda must drive the issue of unity in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, as students in primary and secondary school, the only social disposition we have in the education sector is the social studies. Our social studies only teaches us about Jaja of Okpobo, Awolowo of Western Nigeria, Azikiwe of Eastern Nigeria, and Sardauna of Northern Nigeria. Even as a child, you're already indoctrinated and imbibed with ethnic consciousness. There's a need to review our curriculum to carry subjects like civic education, like nationalism, like moral philosophy that will bind us together as a people. Mr. President, when you visit a general hospital in this country, even the hospital card that you are going to fill, there's a column for religion, there's a column for tribe, there's a column for language. What has that got to do with your recovery? We have become too ethnic conscious as a people. So there must be a deliberate plan by the legislative agenda of the 9th Senate to unite us as a people. Mr. President, I saw that there's also a very intelligent work on issue of capacity building. Mr. President, it is not possible for you as President of the Senate or the leadership of the Senate to develop the capacity of every one of us. But you must identify those who have capacity to undergo capacity development. They should be capacitated. We must, as a Senate, develop ourselves, not minding the hues and cries out there. Because, Mr. President, without capacity and capability, we may not be able to do a lot of things. Mr. President, our committees must more than ever before become committees that are out for proper oversight functions and responsibilities. We must, some critical committees, have the capacity to rescue this country, to ameliorate and palliate our problems as a nation. In the education sector, Mr. President, we have become so decayed that when I was a student in my biology practical writing WAEC, I bring a live frog to the laboratory, I dissect and label. Today, what you have is called alternative to practical. You only imagine a frog and draw it and label. When I was an undergraduate, Mr. President, in the greatest university south of the Sahara, north of the Limpopo, Ahmadu Bello University's area, a medical student is entitled to one cadaver. Cadaver is a dead body. To dissect, to mutilate. But today you bring together 100 medical students and give them one cadaver. And you begin to tell them, when you open this place, this is what you are going to see. That is what education has become in this country. Our science laboratories in secondary schools, you don't even have a litmus paper. Mr. President, our committees must, through oversight function, expose the inadequacies in the education sector and correct the anomalies. The percentage of pass in maths, physics, and English continue to deteriorate year after year. And as a nation, we are not perturbed. As a nation, we are not concerned. It is a dangerous trend that must be checked and must be ameliorated. The health sector, the committee, must also carry out a clinical revolution in terms of oversight function. Mr. President, today, Ghana just built their second National Cardiothoracic Center, a country with a population of less than 25 million people. Today in Nigeria, anybody with a cardiac problem, its survival ratio is 0. We do not have one National Cardiothoracic Center in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Our health sector, our hospitals are just mere consulting clinics. Year in, year out, our medical doctors are leaving this country for greener pastures. And as a Senate, we must, through the instrumentality of our committees, check this. And this is same for every other critical committee that have a direct concomitant effect on the lives of Nigerians. Mr. President, we must also digitalize this chamber. We must introduce ICT to all our operations in the National Assembly, particularly in the Senate. And I will humorously say, Mr. President, for our analog elders who need to update their ICT knowledge, we can take them to MTI or these computer schools so that they can catch up with the scientific and technological demands of recent times. It is enough. Every day, if you know the volume of papers that is being wasted in this chamber, whenever we are having any plenary, you go home with a bunch of papers every day. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. The world have moved away from such practice. There is no reason why we should not have a customized tablet. A tablet that is not more than this paper, where the order, our normal order, is there every day. All the debates are there. Our vote and proceedings there. So we don't need to be printing these documents, and it is cheaper because the tablet is a one-off. But every day we spend money on printing, on paper, and the bureaucracy itself is a problem. We must, and it is not even environmentally friendly. So I want to advise, Mr. President, that we move from this analog approach to digital approach, where each senator, including Senator Bukatwa, can carry his tablet, and then begin to manipulate the you should look one door.
Senator Dino, wind up, please.
Mr. President, sir, I'm also very concerned that when I was a member of the House of Reps Assembly, we had the NABRO office established. That is the National Assembly Budget Research Office. And I want to say that over R1 billion that year was budgeted for the National Assembly Budget Research Office. The House of Representatives at that time even had a standing committee on NABRO. And I think that committee is still existing in the House of Representatives. As I speak, over R5 billion have been spent in training, retraining by the bureaucracy of the National Assembly for the establishment of the NABRO office. There's a functional NABRO office. But the bill was passed, and as I speak, it has not been assented to. And from my research, Mr. President, and my respected colleagues, the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the only country in ECOWAS, in AU, in the Commonwealth that does not have a NABRO office. And that is why our budget is in an epileptic state. That is why the review of budget by the National Assembly can never be perfect. That is why there is no relationship in budget implementation and expenditure between the executive and the legislature. So there is a need, Mr. President, that the Ninth Senate take it as a matter of utmost necessity that NABRO bill be signed by the executive. It will help to create transparency in budget expenditure. It will help to create transparency even in budget defense, because most of us here do not have the intellectual capacity and mobility to dissect this budget without the assistance of a budget office resident in the National Assembly. That is very, very important. Our oversight functions over expenditure cannot be complete without a NABRO office, as is being practiced in other civilized climes across the globe. Mr. President, the issue also of budget passage is a major problem that we must look at. Over 70% of the bills passed in the 8th Senate was not assented to by Mr. President. The executive, who is part of public hearing, who refused to raise issues during public hearing, eventually will now raise issues when it is time for passage. I think since there is now a fiduciary relationship between the leadership of the Senate and the national and the executive, we must take advantage of this fiduciary relationship to make sure that our bills are being assented to, because the essence of doing whatever we're doing here is to make laws for the betterment of governance in this country. And if we sit down and pass bills, and 70% of your bills are being rejected, then our performance here would have been a beautiful nonsense. So I want to believe that the leadership of the next Senate will please carry out this correction so that most of our bills will be assented to, and most of these archaic analog laws will be corrected.
Round up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I also want to say that finally on the issue of anti-corruption, Mr. President, there are two major instruments of corruption in this country. Corruption in this country, 95% of our corruption in this country is through procurement. And we have a committee, a standing committee on procurement in this National Assembly and specifically in the Senate. We have the Committee on Public Accounts. These committees must be strengthened and must show political will to carry out very strong ameliorative measures in the issue of procurement in this country. When I was in the House of Representatives, you will recall, those of us that some of us are here, the issue of the second runway of Abuja Airport was awarded at 64.5 billion. And I raised a motion because that same contract was awarded a year before for 8 billion. In less than 12 months, it was awarded for 64.5 billion. And when it was investigated, the presidency called me, they reviewed it to 49-point-something billion. I came back and still insisted until that contract was cancelled. You can imagine how 8 billion became 64 billion. That is corruption through procurement. And that is what is happening in most of the MDAs. You will see every year all the MDAs are buying generators. Every year, state government are buying generators. Every year, they are spending on diesel. Every year, they are purchasing computers. And you ask, where are these computers? Where are these vehicles? Where are these generators? It is all issue of procurement. So our committee on procurement, sir, will have to be properly briefed. And the committee on public accounts will have to be properly strengthened. If we want to curb corruption in this country, and the corruption in procurement is not being tackled, and the laws, our procurement laws are not amended to meet the challenges, the scientific challenges of corruption of modern times, then we'll be in trouble. The second, Mr. President, is corruption in the oil sector. As I speak to you, we do not even have the exact quantity of our oil production, so crude oil production per day, because they have refused to adopt apps and technology that will tell you exact production, because once that is done, the corruption in the sector is gone. So these committees that oversight the petroleum sector, downstream, upstream, gas, must do everything possible to make sure that they unbundle the celestial corruption that is going on in the oil sector. Finally, Mr. President, I want to wish you well. I want to encourage you that the next Senate will be successful as much as you, our president, come out with the political will to energize all of us through the committees to perform. Nigeria is our responsibility. Every one of us took the Bible or the Quran and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and swore to uphold them. And on Judgment Day, every one of us will be asked, what did we do with our calling in this chamber? God bless Nigeria.